UFO whistleblower David Grusch is peeved, to say it diplomatically, about the massive piece of federal legislation called the 2024 National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, as it's expected to go to vote this week. Yes, the bill lacks a catchy name, and you might be inclined to file it under important but boring. But for anyone with an interest in the UFO question, and that appears to include many of you, it's crucial. The so-called NDAA authorizes a national defense budget of $886 billion. But for those of you who were also hoping the Pentagon would disclose more about what it might know about UFOs, or UAPs, the government's preferred acronym, it was a disappointment. And perhaps no one was more disappointed than Grusch himself. The man who helped raise awareness of UAPs to the American public with his exclusive NewsNation interview and later in sworn testimony before Congress was referring to two key provisions that were killed from that NDAA last week. One called for a provision for eminent domain, which would have meant that government would have had control over all non-human technology recovered or housed by private companies. The second provision, a 9-person panel, would have had the authority to review all the records relating to non-human intelligence and immediately declassify them or disclose them. That's not happening now. In part one of my interview with Grusch yesterday, he said those measures now dead, the push for disclosure has been dealt a massive setback.
What we're witnessing right now is, quite frankly, the greatest legislative failure in American history. You know, you had a very strong amendment for government transparency on this issue. Whether you believe my allegations or not, this is a government transparency issue at large.
Grusch admonished Congress for killing those key measures that he said would have helped boost UAP transparency to the American public, but the fight is not over. Grusch said it's up to you, the voters, to vote out the lawmakers who squashed those provisions that would have created transparency. More importantly, Grusch suggested that the floodgates may soon be opening. He told me that his congressional testimony has inspired others to come forward with what they know about this alleged secret UAP program. Here's part two of our in-depth interview with UFO whistleblower David Grusch. David, when you first talked to us several months ago, you said you had spoken to about 40 people who had proof that the government had recovered these alien spacecraft, non-human remains. In the past months since then, have you seen any more testimony to support that, or any firsthand encounters with information?
I am aware of some other firsthand individuals that did approach the Intelligence Community Inspector General's office. Of course, I'm not privy to their precise complaints because I'm not a recipient of that. But I do know of a couple other individuals that are known to me that did go to the Inspector General after my testimony this summer.
So your testimony sparked other people to come forward with their stories of what they've seen in these secret programs?
Yes.
You recently did an interview with Joe Rogan on his podcast, and you said something that really took me aback. You said that you believed that the United States government has killed people for trying to go public with a story. Really?
Those are concerns that certain scientists on the program that are known to me, presented that to myself, but I did direct them to the appropriate authorities on that. That's something that I don't know firsthand. That's something they espoused, but because of the serious nature of that, I directed them to the appropriate authorities, such as the Inspector General staff and law enforcement. So I can't speak to that because that's something that they espoused, and I directed them to the right authorities.
Other people were worried about that, not you.
I had some unique things happen in my personal life that, were some of the causal factors for me to file a complaint, some things that my wife and I had noticed, some intimidation. I can't get into the exact nature. I did provide that information to the Inspector General, and hopefully they've referred it to appropriate federal law enforcement and counterintelligence personnel. But I can't discuss that publicly because of the sensitive nature of that, for my own protection and for the integrity of the investigation.
Yeah, because if you really believe that the government has done that in the past with people who've tried to expose this UFO program, why are you still alive? You've done more to expose it than anyone else.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I went public, and certainly I was shown that, they can touch me at any time, and that's what led me to not only contact my former agencies, counterintelligence folks with what I witnessed, and I provided evidence to that fact, but filed the complaint. And certainly going public was the appropriate move for me for my own protection. So, for a lot of reasons.
I wanted to also direct you to some video that we're going to show you from April of 2023. AARO Director Sean Kirkpatrick presented the world with the video that we're going to be looking at. Do you think that there are some of these unresolved cases that are indeed from non-human intelligence?
I mean, as I was the co-lead at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency for UAP, there were certainly a lot of unmanned aerial systems and other manned platform videos that myself and my team analyzed, and a lot of it was highly anomalous. We didn't come down to a definitive answer with some of the cases, which of course those cases are classified, so I have to talk generally, but definitely showed a lot of different weird we'll just say morphologies and other optical characteristics that didn't comport with kind of known things that my team was familiar with. But I think the jury's out on that, and I really hope that AARO is investigating those with the full power of their office.
Kirkpatrick is stepping down from leadership of AARO. What's your reaction to that?
Of course, I've known Dr. Kirkpatrick for many years. I believe his last day was December 1st, and his deputy, Tim Phillips, is currently filling in as the director of AARO. And I think we need to find a new director that the American people would have more confidence in. And I certainly provided a senior senator with my pick, a former individual who's very senior in the Pentagon that I used to work for as a potential director of AARO. But I do think we need to find somebody that the American people trust more, not somebody that calls oral testimony not credible, which is something that Dr. Kirkpatrick said during his testimony in front of Senator Gillibrand.
You believe that there are defense contractors that are holding some of these remnants of spacecraft of some kind to try and reverse engineer and figure out how they work so that they can create brand new state-of-the-art weaponry? Yes.
I mean, that's what the clear defense contractor base does, all the metal bending work, if you will, for the military-industrial complex. It's not the agencies themselves that typically do the performance of those kind of activities.
But the point being that you think it's those defense contractors, like Lockheed Martin, for example, or others, that have custody of these remains, not the U.S. government?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Harry Reid specifically said Lockheed Martin, and that is a disclosure he made 3 weeks after I met him in the New Yorker. I believe that was in May 2021, where he literally discusses Lockheed Martin in that disclosure to the journalist who wrote that article in the New Yorker.
Well, there's been allegations that House Republicans are being paid off by defense contractors. I mean, one of the House Republicans that watered down the defense bill and watered down the provisions for releasing information has gotten a lot of campaign donations from major defense contractors. Yeah,
that's publicly, you can look that up with PAC donations with some of these Republicans. It's the big three that have typically donated to some of these big committee chairs, right? Same thing with Mike Rogers.
I'm just curious how your life has changed since you went public with all this.
Since I went public, I mean, certainly this is a nightmare for me. I mean, I was an intelligence officer for 14 years. I'm behind the curtain, if you will. I never wanted to do this, but my sense of service, I decided to do this for the right reasons, I think, to hold Congress accountable, hold the IG accountable, and the executive branch accountable, because we have a severe constitutional crisis right now. This is not a laughing matter. We have a severe oversight issue where there's a caste system of individuals. Previous presidents most likely were abusing their authority under the unitary executive theory, right, which is a theory that the president, the chief executive, has ultimate power and with a stroke of the pen can, decide certain things. So I think we have a severe truth and reconciliation process we need to, start in this country. And I'm here to help the current administration, and I'm happy to help. I'm not here to totally admonish people, and I want to be, a tool for change here. So I want to help the current administration. If not, we need to make it an election issue. People need to be voting out these people, and I think NewsNation should post a list of House Republicans or Democrats, for that matter, that oppose this legislation and allow their constituencies to decide if these are the kind of leaders that they want that are hindering government transparency, and through a a democratic process in the 2024 election, we need to get these people out of office. And furthermore, with the House Intelligence Committee, Mike Turner probably has no business being the chairman. I think somebody like Mike Gallagher, who's on the committee, he's a former Marine Corps intelligence officer. He takes this issue seriously. He's spoken out about it publicly, should be the chair. And people like Mike Turner, who say, I don't know, Dave doesn't know what he's talking about on Fox Business. Really? Well, Mike Turner's never been an intelligence officer. He's never served in the military. He was the mayor of Dayton before he became in Congress. He's a junior person in terms of the Intelligence Committee. And I gave his committee 5 hours of testimony last December, and Mike Turner's staff never invited me back for more. They were not inquisitive to understand the issue more broadly or more in depth, and there's probably a reason behind that. And I just don't appreciate people that don't want transparency on the matter, quite frankly.
David Grusch, great to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on.
Thanks so much for watching.